Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind podcast.
On this episode of the show, we're going to be talking about Fight to Win Pro 67?
62?
I think it's 67, Josh.
49? It's probably 66.
66 in Houston, Texas, as well as UAE JJ in, where was it, Josh?
London.
In London, England.
Talk a little Sumo.
Where's
Also
that?
talk a little bit about the NCAA Wrestling Championships. That
also
happened this
happened.
weekend.
Yep.
And what we got to see of the Onnit Invitational before it was removed because of copyright by the UFC.
Thanks for that. So, as per usual, we're going to kick off the show with a little bit of news. Josh, you want to lead us in?
Motherfucking Kasai making it happen. I just blanked.
Nikki Ryan is now going to have a match with Gio Martinez on Kasai Pro 2 on April 14th, 2018. They're making it happen. I have no idea what they had to pay Gio to get it done, but they're doing it.
Gordon said like double, I think, what was going on. I don't know. There's like some big.
You think like 20 grand?
No, I think 20 grand was the original offer.
I thought it was 10. I thought 10 was the
I thought
original.
it was 20.
Okay. Regardless, dude's getting paid.
It's a lot. They got him sucked in, I guess. Whatever.
I have my feelings about Gio, but like I appreciate grapplers getting paid, and if Kasai's paying big bucks to put the matchup on, I'm gonna watch it. You're gonna watch it.
Yeah,
Everyone's
definitely.
gonna watch it. How do you think it goes, Josh?
I don't know. It'll go great because I won't have to watch it in a walk-in refrigerator. I'll tell you that much. You know, because we released. I'm at work. Main's at work. He's like, I can't make a video. We got to release this. I'm like, other people know about it already. He goes, we got to do something. It's like, hold on. I went into the walk-in at work and I was like, this is happening. Holy crap.
And then we posted it.
Then we posted it because
We're
we're
real
children.
professional. So that's happening. We're excited. We're going to preview that closer to the event itself. So probably the week before the second week in April, the first week in April. We'll probably break that down, talk about their games in depth, and talk about how we think it's going to go. But that is exciting because that is a super fight we've been looking for a while now, and they've teased it and they've tried to make it happen, but it's always fallen through. So Kasai Pro, props to them for making it happen. In other news, Ayrshire Grappler put out a video breaking down Ric Flair.
Ayrshire. Come on. He even corrected you.
Yo, did I say
Ayrshire.
it wrong?
Ayrshire?
Oh my God, I'm so
Ayrshire.
sorry. Ayrshire Grappler put out, I can't believe I messed that up.
Oh, that's
A
funny.
video of Ric Flair's leg lock that just
The figure 4 leg lock. What you know? Woo!
that just
Styling
really
and profiling.
pained me to say.
That shit was good.
Dude, it was good, but I hate
good.
pro wrestling so much.
I just want to be Baramboloed and try, or not even that. Just throw that De La Hiva hook in. I'm just gonna yank it through and try to figure for you, Nature Boy style.
The stupidest thing about everything is from the way that video shows setting it up, it actually looks like you could potentially get that knee bar in that position.
You're
He
just
makes
mad
it
because
makes it look
wrestling
real.
is awesome.
Dude, I hate wrestling so much.
So good. I'm gonna
hate pro
DDT
wrestling.
you. It's gonna be awesome.
But so that video's out. You should give that a watch because it's hilarious and it actually makes me kind of want to try that.
Did I ever tell you that I almost got this like the what was it? It was,
Boston Crab.
No. Oh God, I've tried that before. When Sting does the Scorpion Death Drop, it's like a.
I don't know who any of those things are.
Okay, so it's fuck you. You should know who Sting is. Anyway,
The singer?
no, not him. The wrestler. You know, he was a surfer and then he turned into the Crow. Come on. Anyway, it was like a reverse DDT where you're looking up and he has like a
What's a
north-south,
DDT?
like a north-south position. We're gonna watch wrestling in about 2 seconds. It's like a north-south choke, but he's standing up. Oh, I'm forgetting the actual move to it. But you lock that up and then the Dragon Sleeper. That's what it's called. There we go. Almost put the Dragon Sleeper on Dr. Jose. That shit was funny and it was awesome. We're going to watch those
I'm
things.
going to cut all of this out.
No, we're not. No.
That'll do it for news this week.
More pro wrestling to come.
Not at all. So, as per usual in this podcast, so we're on to the breakdown section of this podcast. As per usual, we had an event sneak up on us. How Onnit does not market their events better so we don't find out about them the day before they happen baffles me.
We found out about the Onnit 6 Invitational well ahead of time too, which is kind of weird.
like 3 days, like 2 days ahead of time.
No, we knew like a week ahead of time. We had the whole bracket and everything.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, this one Onnit 7, I found out about it Thursday or Friday before it happened.
You messaged me and I was doing something at work and you were like, this is happening. I was like, oh, I guess we'll have to watch it.
Watched a little bit of it.
It came on roughly around the same time as fight to win, and I'm going to put precedent, especially when I have a singular device and I'm not at my house to watch something. I'm going to put precedent over something that I feel is going to get more coverage, which would be fight to win. I'm going to try to watch both, or I was like, okay, this is going to be...
But it's on YouTube, so typically when those streams finish,
exactly, they're already up.
So you can watch it after, but Fight to Win isn't up immediately. So, before we record the podcast, we may not get a chance to rewatch it to take additional notes. So we watch that live, take notes live. Onnit Invitational happened, and then...
It got hit with that copyright.
UFC took it down for copyright. So we've only watched little bits and pieces of it. Again, we'll go into it next week.
If it comes up. Yeah. But the only things we really saw were 2 Grace Gundra matches. And look, she's 14, 15 years old. And again, the rankings, we got into this a little bit. She's ranked higher than
Adam Sakhnoff,
who's one of their black belts. I don't even know what legitimate belt she is. She's 15 years old.
She's good, don't get me wrong, but I saw some stuff from her in this match that made me go, you're really going to rank her in your organization above Adam Sakhnoff?
I watched both the matches that were available. The first match, she crushed it. Her first round opponent crushed it. She just pulled guard and went through and was like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And again, this is a 105-pound tournament.
Yep. Small woman.
Atom weight. So, okay, here we go. She just pulls her down into butterfly, starts working through, and throws on a triangle. Done. Was a minute and a half. The next match, the other girl pulled guard, and
Grace couldn't pass.
No.
She got off balance. She
got swept, but even then, her guard work when she's not in a position that she wants to be in isn't great.
It looked like blue belt level.
I also feel like we're kind of being extra critical of a 14-year-old girl.
I would normally agree with that, but 10th Planet has ranked her as one of the best 10th Planet practitioners around. They have told us by the official rankings that they have published and put out that she is one of their top people. That indicates to me that, she's really, really good.
She's 11 or 12, right?
I think she was top 15, yeah. But she's above a black belt in your organization. And she got swept.
She's above a lot of black belts in that organization.
Right. She got swept with a very basic, elevator sweep. It didn't have an answer for it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. She still finished the match, but
she did.
She struggled.
She was trying
She was going knee in the middle for pressure, but not causing any pressure, and her knee cut was just...
It wasn't strong. There were some items in this that show she has a long way to kind of progress from top passing. Her top passing did not look great.
No.
And so that's why, I don't want to be overcritical of her as a grappler, especially with how young she is, how much she has to develop. But I'm being critical.
But she's beating higher level females than she is. She's beating, from what I gathered, because, again, it was really short notice, she beat brown belts. And, you can't poo-poo that.
No, it's legitimate. It's just there were some items in the second match that I saw that were not per their rankings. If they're going to rank her that high and that's the performance she's going to show against this athlete, I'm going to be more critical of it because you've already stated to me she's one of the best practitioners in your organization.
True.
They said pound for pound. They didn't say pound for pound by belt. They said pound for pound. So that's why I'm being so critical, because there's some stuff I saw that makes me go, you can't have her pound for pound that high and have these technical weaknesses in her game. She looked good. When she's moving through her game, she looks good. She looked comfortable and confident. As soon as you took her out of it, she looked like...
Lost, almost.
She looked like a blue belt. She looked like some of the competitors from our team at a blue belt level.
Okay, I was about to say, you're going to have to clarify which kind of blue belt. Are we talking AOJ blue belts?
No, we're talking about good blue belts that compete at local events and, have some technical issues here and there. And that's why I'm being so critical of this, is because they've ranked her in the top 15 in their organization. And so if you're going to do that and she does not perform well, we have to be a little more critical of her than just a regular 14-year-old girl, because they have ranked her in that top 15 of the organization.
Or they need to be more critical of their pound-for-pound rankings.
To make it have any legitimacy.
Yes.
So from an outside perspective, again, happy to see her win. Happy to see as she develops. She's not a pioneer for women's jiu-jitsu, but for the 10th Planet system, I think she's a pioneer for them. So I hope she does very well. Yeah. I hope she, fixes the issues in her game, but that's what we saw.
We'll probably see her again eventually in one of the female EBIs at one of the lower weights.
Yep. Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't you be surprised if she does well? Wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see her for the next couple of years, explore and do better and better. But this performance just wasn't the best that I've seen.
Wasn't up to snuff.
I guess what I got with.
All right. Well, that wraps up that part of the Onnit Invitational. Hopefully they can get the video back on YouTube. I didn't get to see it, so I don't understand why they got the strike by the UFC for it.
Maybe they used some footage. That's what you suggested earlier. They used some footage.
Yeah, possibly, but I'm not 100% sure. So hopefully it comes back up and we'll be able to talk more in depth about it.
So on to our coverage of UAE. Again, we're a week late on this because we had PANS last week, and that kind of took precedence. It's a major event, one of the 4 big ones throughout the year.
Yeah.
So we're gonna cover UAE this week.
We'll cover a little bit of it. We watched a few matches. It's been quite a busy week. We're both going through house stuff. Maine is a little bit further in that process right now. I'm waiting for his phone to ring during this podcast. He keeps looking at it to get a call back saying that his offer was accepted.
Stress level's a little high. I'm not gonna lie.
But I've been trying to peek through. So we'll just go into it. One, the Adam Wardzinski versus Ben Hodgkinson match.
Yeah.
There we go. So it was funny. I was looking at this guy, and I've seen him compete before at Copa Podio and things like that. When he was in those, they would do like country versus country matches. And
Copa Podio is big on that. They do a lot of like national stuff where it's like, hey, Brazil versus America, or like Brazil versus, I think England one's one of them, maybe.
Something like that versus the Vikings.
They do a lot of that.
Yeah. So for the longest time, I'm like, who is this guy? And he's always wearing a Grappling Industries gi.
You're talking about Ben
Hodgkinson's
right now.
Right. I believe he's one of the guys that runs it, if I'm not mistaken.
Grappling Industries, the event that a bunch of our teammates competed at this weekend in Maryland.
There you go. But they're all over the place. They're in Australia. They're
based out of Australia.
They're all over the U.S. It took me forever, and then I watched this match and was looking at this guy's face. I was like, wait a second. I know that guy. I competed against him at Purple Belt. And he was training with Lloyd Irvin, and he was like a mirror image of Keenan. Just not as tall or as lanky.
Back when Keenan was still with
Yes, back when he was still there. And I competed against him, and he at one point caught me in a choke that made me shoot a booger out of my nose partially. And then I sucked it up really quick so it wouldn't get on my gi, and I ended up swallowing it. Grossest thing ever.
Dude, that's a gross story.
Yes, it is, but it's relatable. So
he had a match this weekend with Adam Wardzinski, where Wardzinski
he got swept and then went to work, is what he did.
Yeah, Wardzinski went up 24 points, unanswered points at one point in this match, and Flow Grappling actually did an article on it because
in about 4 minutes, it was great.
Dude can score points.
He just transition.
He's got that win over Erberth now. Like he's feeling hot.
I mean, hats off to Ben to not getting submitted. But this was another one of these things where I was like, there's always potential for getting a ridiculous amount of points. And these are also only 6 minutes. So if there were four more minutes.
That's why I love UAE. It's like they have 6 minute matches, and when dudes run up that many points in 6 minutes, you're like, God, this is the black belt level. You're like, God damn, you're really good. And then we see him get beat by Keenan. And you're like,
I want that 100 points in a match.
100-0 match?
Not even 0. I just want somebody to hit 100 points.
Like, okay, let's say a 6 minute match. Let's do the math here. It's been a slow week for jiu-jitsu. So we got 6 minutes.
Takedown, pass,
no.
belly,
how many series of points do you have to get? So let's say, what's your average amount of points?
I just gave you one. Takedown 2, pass 3, that's 5.
Yep.
Knee on belly 2, that's 7.
Okay.
Mount, that brings you to 11.
And then back mount. Let's say back mount. So 15.
Okay, so
15. You go through a whole series and you let the guy back up 15 points if you get all the points. Okay? So 100 divided by 15 is how many times you have to go through that series.
You have to do that 7 times.
So you got to go through the entire series 7 times. So you got to do it. Honestly, you could do it. 45 seconds a time for a 6 minute match.
Potentially.
I mean, you're tired by that 7th takedown.
I don't care. Is it 7 times? Yeah. 15,
Math is not our strong suit here at the
yes,
Grappling Rewind
30,
podcast.
60, 90. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would actually be 105 in total.
So you don't have to get the last back mount.
You wouldn't have to really get it'd be teeter-tottering when you go to mount, because mount puts you at 11, which puts you at 101.
Perfect. Good enough.
So that's fine. Yeah. You could get I'm just trying to you just get up and then you just do another takedown again, and then you're there.
All right, get an 8th takedown.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a mercy rule somewhere. I feel like if you get up 60 points, the ref's like, all right, come
I
on.
want it to happen.
What did Low get up like 76?
No. Like 30 some, maybe 40.
Who was I thinking of?
I don't know, but I've never heard of a match that went up 70 some odd points.
Okay, my bad then. So this match, Wojcinski went up, put on a SmackDown.
Although another high scoring thing that I do recall, a former training partner of mine, or not a former, current, when he was a brown belt, when Erberth was in Maryland, and he was at Team
With
Lloyd
Irving.
Yep. He entered a local tournament and smoked our teammate like 17 to nothing before catching him.
That's not bad.
Wait, it gets better. The next match, he beat the guy like 52 to nothing before submitting him.
Damn.
Rude.
A little rude. At a brown belt
Rude.
level. You're like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, come on, bro. Another match that was very interesting to me. Always enjoy seeing the Meow Brothers. And, Paulo is not allowed at IBJJF right now.
Currently suspended for the steroids.
At least he admitted it.
Did he admit it? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I thought he did. Did you not?
I don't know, Josh.
I'm pretty sure he did, where he was like, yeah,
He's
whatever.
like, yeah, I'm a weight class above my identical twin brother. Like,
No.
yeah.
Joao cuts. That is
But he's still like when they're next to each other.
They're the same weight.
Nah, Paul's a little bigger.
They're both shredded.
And they were both shredded. Paul's a little bigger though. Because that's how I know which one's which, Josh. They look the same. One of them's larger.
It's not the one missing the tooth?
And they're never smiling.
Their mouths are open because they're always breathing through their mouths.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
They're not like stupid, but it just, you always see them like, and you're like, okay, there's the one without the tooth. You just got to pay more attention.
I look at the ears, Josh.
Look them in the face.
Look at the ears.
First, the commentary staff was getting on my nerves.
We've talked about this before for UAE.
They were okay, but they were saying some shit. And I was like, what in the fuck are you talking about? They talked about some sweep, and this was in the Wardzinski match, where it was like sort of worm guard-esque, and they're like, we should call it this sweep because this guy invented it. I'm like, what? Are you 100% positive you've never seen that before that? You never saw anybody else do that?
Last time UAE commentary, the guy said he invented this certain move that this guy was doing, and he named it after himself.
Oh, yeah, that is true. God.
So the UAE's done this before.
Anyway, props to Victor Moraes. Dude, his guard is sick.
Yeah. I
And
think
that's the other
Meow.
thing.
Meow's passing's gotten so much better, too.
Well, Paulo's the one that's known for passing more now. But they both pulled really quick. But Paulo just got up super quick and was like, all right, let's go to work. And just was hustling. It was awesome. I'm like, yes, you should tell your brother to do this more. But he just moved. And Marias, his hips just were all over the place. His legs, his regarding ability.
The regarding was really what kind of stood out to me on this match. Was just like, God damn, like the regard game, I think, has even developed further in the last couple of years. Like, we're seeing dudes you guys are passed, and then the guy's getting regard back, and you're like, whoa.
This is one of those matches where I've watched it repeatedly, just because of all the little nuances of the passing of the guard, of the recovery of the guard, the way they're running around. Like, Meow sort of did this, like that Keenan style reach over to run around, but it got recovered off of it. But
I don't think because he's as long as Keenan. Like, Keenan has some attributes. I think why that works so well for Keenan,
goddamn giraffe,
is he's tall, so he can get up and he can get over people with his arm length too. And Meow is just not quite as tall. I think it's really interesting to see. We're starting to see Paulo and Joao. They're not looking as mirror images of each other anymore. We're starting to, as they get further into black belt, we're starting to see them diverge and kind of have their own games more so than we saw definitely at brown belt.
It's just more Paulo is just like, okay, I'll get up. I'll move.
Yeah, Paulo seems willing to get up, and Joao seems to he will sit on his butt.
He will go for Berimbolo. That's what he wants to do. Pretty sure his passing is just as good. Maybe he's just not as confident.
We just don't see it as much. But Paulo, we see him. He'll go. He won't sit forever in Berimbolo. He'll stand up, and we'll see him pass. And I think in the last year and a half, we've really seen him either get more comfortable with his passing or just pass more.
Whatever it is, it's awesome, and I enjoyed it. He eventually got around to the back, and that was pretty much all she wrote from there. He was on there. He just starts going and going, and at one point, they stopped the match, and I was like, time didn't run out. What's going on? I didn't see anything, and they replayed it multiple times. I was like, oh, he just did this tiny little, boop, and he acknowledged that was a tap. I was like, oh, okay, there it was. I didn't think the collar was that deep. It didn't look that bad, but who am I? I wasn't there getting choked, so I can't say for sure.
It didn't. I mean, again, it was weird. I watched it again. I was like, is he? Hey, is he in? All right.
It was awesome.
So another match we want to talk about for the UAE was Izaki Behance versus Charles Negromonte. Charles Negromonte is a black belt under Hodger, teaches at his gym in London, England, and Behance was on ACBJJ. He was on Europeans. Again, competes everywhere.
Everywhere. And this is another match to watch. Not for just here are these tiny technical little details or anything. These guys were just fucking going at it.
Oh, yeah, and Charles Negromonte has a recent win over Craig Jones. Charles Negromonte is good.
I'm not denying that, but Craig Jones, his game, no-gi, is totally different.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Again, he said for Quintet, he's going to have to learn not to heel hook people. So it'll be interesting what he does from there. These dudes just went straight up at each other. It was great. Just the intensity of the match. They're at one point fighting legs. Izaki's near the edge and rocking a straight footlock, and Negromonte is pulling himself back in bounds. And I was like, is he trying to prevent the points? Is he just trying to pull himself back and then attack and not have Izaki escape or anything
well,
like that?
Well, if they leave the mat, I think UAE has funny rules for if they leave the mat, don't you get an ad or a point or something for a submission that goes off the mat? You get points for it.
It's the same thing with IBJJF. If you're in a submission and you go out, you get the two, but you start points. Standing.
Right. So you think he was trying to avoid the two, or you think it was? Why do you think he did it?
I don't know. And I don't know how they would rule it because he wasn't trying to get out. Izaki was at the edge.
With his foot.
Yeah.
Huh. That's a little weird.
So I don't know if they would have been stop. I would have rotated them 180 degrees.
Just pull them back to the center.
Maybe it just would have pulled them out of place. But either way, they're going at it. And Izaki just goes hard on the leg and nails a submission. And I was like, ooh. And he went wild. He was like, ah! I was like, yo, this isn't the World Championships. I understand you won this match, but
this is UAE and pans are happening and no one's watching UAE.
And there's Maine getting his contract via email about his house. So there you go. He might calm down a little bit now during this podcast.
Oh no! I wish I had the heart rate monitor on. It's up. So yeah, I just didn't know why he was so excited to win this match. It's no one's watching, man. Pans is on right now.
A few people were watching. The people in London were watching.
Josh, there's no one in London. It's a faraway land that no one lives in.
So what you're saying is 28 days later really happened and nobody's really there?
Josh, that's said based on a true story, didn't it?
No, it didn't.
Are you sure?
100% positive.
What about 20 weeks later?
Still not.
What about Hot Fuzz? You're telling me these are not documentary films?
Hot Fuzz might be a documentary film. You know the guy in the supermarket that was just the cleaning boy?
Yeah.
That always would go yarp.
Yeah.
He's also the Hound on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Josh, I'm super into Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. I've looked at all the trivia for their movies.
Oh, okay.
You watch Paul?
Duh.
That's a good movie.
That is. Do you watch Run Fat Boy Run?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up.
Josh, yeah. I'm a nerd.
All right, that really look. Go back and watch all these videos. There's just so many where you can watch where you want to see other people that you see names. It's great.
In all honesty, this is where I do like Flow, because Flow will typically have the most watched, like the best videos for each event up. Go on the top like 5 or 6 or 10 videos for UAE. Watch them. They're good matches. They're exciting. They're high level guys that weren't at Pans. They were on another organization doing their thing. So that does it for UAE. Now we're on to the NCAA finals for collegiate wrestling in the United States.
Well, the whole tournament, really, but the finals is what we'll get a little bit more into. But I love watching this every single year. It's mixed in with my Fight to Win notes because I was watching both at the same time. The finals were on at the same time as Fight to Win. Billy Baldwin, one of the Baldwin brothers, huge wrestling fan. And I forget that every single year until he pops up on the broadcast and I'm like, the fuck is Billy Baldwin doing here? And then I'm like, oh yeah, he loves wrestling. He wrestled and they always have him on. They're like, here's our, E-list celebrity that we have on here.
He's like B.
No,
D.
No. Name me a Billy Baldwin movie.
Alec Baldwin?
I'm waiting.
Oh, isn't there like 5 Baldwin brothers?
There's a lot of Baldwins.
His name is Baldwin. He's famous.
No. Name me a Billy Baldwin movie. Say Biodome, because that wasn't Billy Baldwin. Say he yelled at
Last Crusaders.
That's not Billy Baldwin.
Is that an Alec Baldwin movie?
I think so. Now you're going to make me second.
No, I'm just making up names, actually. I think you'd actually call me on it. Enough. Billy Baldwin Jr. was...
Billy Baldwin was there, and it makes me laugh every time. I'm like, hey, he loves wrestling, and I forgot that he's part of the broadcast because he pops up every year and he's like, I love wrestling, and then he talks about stuff and knows things about what's going on in the collegiate world of wrestling, and it blows your mind, and then you're like, it's fucking Billy Baldwin, who cares? Anyway, the other thing is, goddamn, they make it hard to watch. So
yeah, dude.
Well, they don't make it hard to watch. More so, I'm cheap as fuck. I have like the most basic of cable packages.
I feel you,
only
Josh.
to have internet, fast internet, because the price that I pay now is the same price for internet alone. So they're like, why not just have TV? And we'll give you HBO for free. So I was like, I can watch Game of Thrones. Okay, cool.
We have the same package, but I actually pay for the special package, like the internet version of it, so I can watch it anywhere. I have DirecTV Now or Go.
Or you have DirecTV. See, I have Comcast or Xfinity or whatever you want to call it.
I think we do as well because it's bundled with our internet. But through our phones, I also have DirecTV Now, so we have like other stuff. But
anyway,
again, it makes it impossible to watch the UFC like conveniently for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I don't have any of those. I don't have a lot of channels, so I don't have ESPN. So anytime I try to watch this online, it's like, hey, you don't have this. So I have to, work my magic and find workarounds to watch this, whether it's VPN or other methods. But I watched it. I found that workaround. Penn State takes it again. 7 times in 8 years. Cale Sanderson, building.
That's pretty impressive.
He's building a powerhouse team.
He's built. You win the NCAAs. Like you're not building a powerhouse team. You've built a powerhouse team at this point.
That's like 1 year. This is like Dan Gable and the Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
You build up these teams. I
mean, if you do win it that many years in a row, it's like you have guys that weren't on the team when you first won it that are winning it now. Think about it, because collegiate wrestling, you get 5 years.
Sometimes
you get 4 years in a red shirt, or you get 4 years straight, or you get like 4 years in an injury and a red shirt. You get usually get about 5 years.
Some people leave, some people transfer, some people just stop, some people are not on the team anymore. There's all sorts of things. So sometimes it's just crazy. And it was very close. Ohio State jumped to the early lead, and then Penn State came back. But what Penn State did was put every single fucking wrestler they had pretty much into the finals. They had 5 guys in the finals,
which is crazy. Jesus,
they would have had to lose quite a few, and it came down to the one. I think it's the 184 match. Yeah, 184 with Bo Nichols. So Bo Nichols had to win, or it would leave it to Kyle Snyder from Ohio to cinch up the win. And I'll get into that in a little bit. So really quick, the top 10 team scores: Penn State with 141.5, Ohio State 134.5, Iowa 97, NC State 80, Michigan 80, Missouri 61.5, Cornell 48, Virginia Tech 47.5, Nebraska 47, and Arizona State 43. What was cool to see as well, because I'll go off on some other matches, was a University of Maryland wrestler making it into the top 8. He had a very close match with Adam Kuhn, or maybe was it Adam Kuhn? No, I'm not 100%. I'm already forgetting about it. It's really bad. But he had a really close match that knocked him out, and then that put him in the 7th or 8th place match, and he lost that. Took 8th. Still All-American, awesome home state wrestler, and they moved from ACC to Big Ten, which is
a big jump up.
A big jump up in skill, and they've been keeping up surprisingly. So good on them. So let's get into finals results. I'll talk about some other matches afterwards, but we'll get to the final results.
Starting with the 125-pound division.
This is a match like everybody wanted to see. And this is what I was talking about when you were saying they have them for 4 years. You had Spencer Lee versus Nick Soriano.
Spencer Lee's Iowa. Nick Soriano is Rutgers.
Well, he wasn't. He was Penn State before. So he left.
He left Penn State to go to Iowa.
No, to Rutgers.
My bad. I missed the.
You were looking at Spencer Lee.
I was.
And Spencer Lee, one of the most decorated high school wrestlers, or just wrestlers in general. He's a freshman. World champion. Like, the kid is a monster. There was a Flow film on Flow Wrestling about Austin DeSanto, and he lost to him, and then they just named it Vision Quest because that was his point. He beat him. People still argue about it if he actually got the points or not. That's besides the point.
That's wrestling, though. Dude, there are so many wrestling matches where everyone still argues if he got the points or not. Oh, did you get the points?
Yeah.
Just because of the way it's scored. Like, jiu-jitsu, you kind of got to settle in like 1, 2, 3. Wrestling,
well, you still have to settle. You still have to get that positioning.
You get flash scoring wrestling, though.
Sometimes.
You still get flash scoring.
But anyway, Spencer Lee showed like he's a monster and he's going to be scared to deal with going through his collegiate career. He decisioned Nick Soriano, who was number 1, actually, like ranked number 1.
Yeah.
And Spencer Lee was actually ranked number 3. So you're thinking this guy is, world champion material, Olympic hopeful more than likely.
Yeah.
And he decisioned him 5-1. This was another thing where I had to find that workaround. This was another thing I was watching at work, like jumping between. I killed my battery. Moving on to 133, Seth Gross from South Dakota State versus Stephen Michik. I heard it, and it's still, I can't remember the pronunciation. From Michigan.
Micic.
Yeah. And we're notorious for forgetting things after we've been told them. This was one of the matches that I missed because I had started to switch over because I was trying to find out when the Mike Callenbass match was going on.
Mike Callenbass, purple belt. We talked about it last week, but his match had happened earlier in Fight to Win, so Josh was trying to watch this. I was doing a lot of jumping
back and forth. But he decisioned, Seth Gross decisioned him 13-8.
Under the 141 division.
Thank you.
We had Yanni.
Oh, here it comes. George is going to make fun of me for butchering this. Yanni Diacomalis. Decomalis. That's what I'm going with.
Versus Bryce Meredith.
Yes. So there you go. Yanni's from Cornell and Meredith was from Wyoming. Decisioned him 7-4. Again, a lot of bouncing back and forth. And I do actually have to work when I'm at work. So sometimes I just can't watch it because, I'm working. I can normally have my phone on and peek over and see what's going on. And my bosses don't hate me because of that. They're like, all right, at least he's working.
Yeah, but this was not one of those times.
No, we actually had gotten kind of busy because it was St. Patrick's Day and people wanted to come in and eat Asian food. 149. This is where Penn State started really racking up the points. Zane Rutherford from Penn State versus Ronald Perry from Lock Haven. Decisioned him 6-2. And these are also all of these matches, all of the finals matches, Flow Wrestling. If you have the yearly subscription to Flow Grappling, that means you have the subscription to Flow Wrestling.
Yeah.
Watch them.
Flow Wrestling is the only Flow thing that you can't get you can't get a monthly subscription to. You actually have to get a yearly subscription to it, because why would you have it during not wrestling season? So that's, I think, the only Flow organization that you have to have a yearly subscription to. If you have Flow Grappling or Flow, pick your other thing, track
Climbing,
or anything like that, climbing,
track, whatever.
volleyball, whatever, you get Flow Wrestling. Take a look over to it. Go watch some matches. Again, all the finals matches are worth watching.
And they have tons of technique video, tons of films. Like they have a great Steve Mako film, who is the head wrestling coach at ATT. You'll see him pop up in UFC stuff. It's definitely worth it. But this is where they started going in. And this is also where I started getting busy at work. So I had to like peek over and I would catch it at the end. You can go back and watch these matches though. So like Zane Rutherford versus Ronald Perry, decision 6-2. Zane takes it. So more points for Penn State. Jason Nuff, Penn State versus Hayden Hidley from NC State. Jason takes the decision 6-2. Vincenzo Joseph, Penn State, decisioned Isaiah Martinez from Illinois 6-1.
165 pound.
Yeah, so that's 149, 157, 165, 174.
All Penn State. Those are all Penn State victories in the finals.
So there's another, Penn State competitor, Mark Hall, at 174 versus Zahid Valencia from Arizona State. And you heard a lot about Arizona State because of a lot of MMA fighters, Ryan Bader, CB Dalloway, Cain Velasquez, all of these people that came out of that wrestling program that are very good wrestlers. And it's a good wrestling program. This is one where it went back in, and Zahid was a little slow to start, and that's where he lost those 2 points. Mark Hall is tough, but Zahid, he said it after I think 3 separate interviews. He's like, I just had to have heart. In the semifinals, he took a sloppy shot, and that's how he lost his points.
It's fine. I love. You said it. I'm just gonna give you some shit for it. I love when guys say, "Oh, he's tough." It's like, yeah, he's at the final. Like an MMA fighter is tough. It's like, yeah, he's in the UFC. He's pretty fucking tough. Or it's like, oh yeah, he's a black. Yeah, he's pretty fucking tough. Like that's implied. These
these are also these guys saying that. Like all of these guys on any given day can win or lose.
Oh yeah,
it's the grit. Like that's the thing that jiu-jitsu doesn't have.
You have a lot more hobbyists in jiu-jitsu as well. Don't forget that.
You have a lot of hobbyists in wrestling too. There's other yes. There are people on wrestling teams that have been on wrestling teams for years. They're still fucking garbage, but they just keep plugging away at it. You're not going to get anywhere from it. You're not going to pick up a scholarship. And then you have, those random teams like Towson University has a wrestling club. Those people are hobbyists, right? Yeah. I'm not saying they're going to show up in the finals. That's a whole nother story that we're going to get into in a little bit about somebody that was kind of about wrestling and then came back. Anyway, Valencia was going hard, just pushing. And it was something that he just mentioned repeatedly. It's like, I think it was my heart that got me through. It's my conditioning. It's like, dude, you're all conditioned to be monsters.
Yeah, you guys are probably in some of the best shape that you can physically get a human being into, and then you're cutting about 45 to 85 pounds of water weight.
No.
I'm making a joke. I'm making a joke, Josh.
They have water tests now.
Sure, they do.
You can't do that.
Sure, they do, Josh.
They do.
Uh-huh.
You have to be in a certain range of your actual weight to actually wrestle. It's a thing. You can't, because so many wrestlers died from cutting weight. They were like, you can't lose more than this much weight.
You can't lose 45 pounds of water weight. You can lose like 28 pounds of water weight.
You can lose like maybe 15.
Which is still huge.
Not really. Like you can, how much does a gallon of water weigh? 8 pounds.
8.6, Josh.
Right. But still, 8.6. If I drink 2 gallons of water, there's that 15 pounds.
You ever picked up 2 gallons of water?
Yes.
It's 15 pounds, Josh. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of water.
Okay. But it's water. That's not hard to cut. See, that's the difference between jiu-jitsu and wrestling. That mentality. Like, these guys are complete psychopaths when it comes to these
That's why AJ
things.
can cut down to feather.
Well, now I think he changed his like body composition
He
to
did,
where
but
he's
like
doing those
he could
things.
make for ADCC. Dude's cutting in the morning, like before at 7 a.m.
But that's
before
the
he makes his
mentality,
weight.
and
And good for them. Like I love seeing hard nosed wrestlers come into jiu-jitsu and do well. Ed Ruth, he won blue belt pants. He got second
people
place.
crying about that one though.
I mean, I am. I love
He's
it.
sandbagging. It's like, okay, he's a really good wrestler. Did he win? No.
No.
He got third place.
Huxel Taylor won. I think it's Huxel Taylor won the Worlds last year at blue belt.
Yeah, it's also at blue belt.
It is. He did well at Pan's a purple belt.
Hey, when NCAA Division One NCAA wrestlers that won it start winning black belt worlds, then we can start talking about it.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, like, I love to see high-level dudes come over from another sport into jiu-jitsu.
It's great.
And show, like, high-level dudes do high-level stuff in all sports.
Yeah, but then again, like most blue belts have shitty takedowns.
Oh, yeah.
Or don't know how to do, use guard very well or whatever. It's great seeing them in the sport, but a lot of times they're doing it to just keep in shape to get ready for a fight.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
So anyway, going on to the 184 match, Bo Nickel from Penn State versus Miles Martin from Ohio State. This is a big thing. We're going for team points. So they're going at each other. And Miles Martin beat Bo Nickel at 174 before. So they're like, okay, now they're heavier weight.
Yeah, they're upper weight class. They're up 10 pounds from 74 to 84.
Martin's going in on a takedown and coming up, and he sort of gets rocked over. And I'm like, okay, he's going to settle back down and pin Nickel. Well, Nickel said, I have totally different idea, and completely turned him over and wrenched him and fucking pinned him.
2:28.
2 minutes and 28 seconds. Holy shit.
Only pin of the finals for this entire tournament.
He went completely fucking crazy after that win. This is one of those things where it's like, yes, you can go completely fucking nutso after that win. That was an awesome thing to see, because I'm watching it, and Fight to Win's over here, and on another screen I've got the finals, and I'm trying to watch both, and I'm like, oh, okay. And he hits that fucking pin, and I completely ignored what was going on with Fight to Win. Ignored it. I was like, holy shit, that was amazing what just happened. 197. Michael Machiavello. There we go.
Macchiato. Got it.
From NC State, decisioned Jared Haught. These are now during the black belt matches of Fight to Win. This is when these became secondary to what was going on, because when we do our Fight to Win coverage, it focuses very much on the black belts. And it wasn't like, Maine, you cover these and I'll cover these wrestling matches, because it was something that wasn't mentioned deeply, that we were going into it. But as someone who follows, amateur quote unquote wrestling, I knew this was coming up. I was just like, fuck, I forgot to make mention that we will cover this the following week. But I was like, I can watch the final back again when this is going on. And mind you, again, this happened last night. There's a lot of stuff going on. Again, house stuff. I have kids, and one of them is in lacrosse, so I'm at lacrosse. I was training this morning.
I coached all yesterday for about 12 hours at a grappling event.
So you slept very well, is what you're saying.
Dude, I hit the hay hard. Like it was my body was shut down in the evening.
I can dig that.
I yelled my voice out in probably the first 4 hours. And then I yelled through it, Josh.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, Michael decision Jared from Virginia Tech 3-1. Then came another match where this is during the black belt matches, and it's in my notes where I'm keeping tab of two things at once. Kyle Snyder from Ohio State, who is from Maryland again, versus Adam Kuhn from Michigan. This was the rubber match. They met in February, and Kuhn won points, a decision by points. Then they met at the Big Ten finals, where Snyder won and did this cool technique where he shoots in for this low signal and traps the leg and like brings it over his head and steps up with it. And one of my training partners was telling me about it, and it works really well, especially like because this training partner is also an MMA fighter, so I'm helping him train for his fight. And we were doing this, and I was like, oh, this is awesome.
You want to talk about the size difference of these two guys, Josh?
Sure, yeah. Adam Kuhn cuts down to get to the 285 weight class. Like, he's a big man. Like,
He's a large dude.
Easily over 300 pounds. He's an aerospace engineer major as well. He wants to be an astronaut, but he's too goddamn big. And
To put
now,
it technically,
they talked about it in was it the first match or was it the Big Ten match? It was one of the two matches where they were talking about he was developing something for spaceships because he wanted to go into space for big dudes. So he's trying to figure out how you can get a big 300-pound dude into space because he wants to go into space. So props to him. And Kyle Snyder, if you don't know who that is, you just don't watch wrestling and you don't care. Multiple time NCAA champion, Olympic champion. I believe the youngest Olympic wrestling champion, if I'm not mistaken.
ooh, maybe
He was 20 when it happened, or maybe 21.
I think he was. He was.
He was 20.
Was he that young?
It's 2016.
Yeah, it was recent.
He's a senior.
I have a picture of him on my phone with him
So 2 years
flexing
ago,
after he won, like
and that was at a lower weight class.
it was.
So he's in a different weight class
Snyder's
now.
not 265. Snyder's
No,
like
he's like 220 something.
yeah, he's a smaller
or
heavyweight.
250. He wrestles internationally at 212, I want to say. He's not as big. But this was an awesome match that I was watching because it was just, and not in the sense of they were flying all over the place. It was just very technical because neither of them wanted to be on the bottom of each other. And Snyder actually scored first with an escape after the first period, but Kuhn did the same thing in the third and ended up actually with more riding time because of that. And with riding time, as long as you're on top, it builds up. And once you get over a minute of riding time, you get an extra point for it. When it's lower, it doesn't have as much significance. So really quick, near the end, I was like, ooh, this is going to go into overtime. Snyder just like ducks under and gets behind him and gets the 2 for it. And then they just go after each other for the last 35-ish seconds. And Snyder sneaks that one by, and didn't try to run out the clock or anything. They were still going at it, but won 3-2 and became champion again. So I think Kuhn is also going to go for the Olympic team. They're going to be at 2 different weights, but they're going to be training partners at that point then. So this will be really interesting come 2020 when the next Olympics happen in Tokyo.
It'll be interesting 2019 because trials.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you have the trials happen before that.
And then the World Championships are also that year since they're on those off years.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next.
My kids want to go to Japan, and I've always wanted to go, and we talked about going there. 2020, it's going to be way more expensive because of the Olympics.
Yeah, but it's Olympics. You get one chance.
It'll be really cool.
If you're going to spend all your money, you can buy a house or go to Japan. Pick and choose.
It'll be really cool, one, to see the wrestling, but also see judo, where judo started in Japan.
If you don't go to the Kodokan, I will be upset with you.
My buddy went there when he went to Japan.
My judo coach went there when he was in there, Japan.
It'd be a cool place to go. There, I'm going to go see Carpe Diem, all those other things, So that was that. The one thing I do want to hit on really, really, really quick was for the 184-pound weight class. Yes, no, maybe it was the 197. 197, that's what it was. So there was like a sort of Cinderella story that was going on. Kyle Cannell from Kent State, which is in Ohio, and that's where the NCAA championships were, went in, was not ranked, got in through the piggyback rounds, and ran into the number 1 seed, Colin Moore from Ohio State. And he beat him. and people lost their shit.
Yeah, if you don't know how rare that is, it doesn't happen.
30 years ago, I think it was the last time it
Yeah,
happened.
it doesn't happen.
Well, it goes back into it. So Kyle goes all the way through and he's pushing and ends up going for the third place match against the same guy he beat originally to start this whole thing. He beat him again. That's only happened twice, I think. Like, this is also like as big of a deal as when UMBC beat Virginia Tech in the basketball, like
That basketball
finals.
thing that happens.
That basketball, I know absolutely zero about basketball.
March Madness?
Or yeah, that's what it's called, March Madness. I know.
Josh,
really
I'm making a
nothing
dumb
about
face
sports.
at you, but it literally took me that long to figure it out as well. I forgot what it was called. Josh and I are not
don't-
big
I'm-
ball
I'm-
sport fans.
That sounded weird, but and UMBC is in Baltimore, but those are the things that don't happen. But it's also a great reason to watch these things because shit like that happens. Flow Wrestling has all of these matches, especially the finals. Go watch them. Watch wrestling. It's awesome. That's all I got.
So that'll do it for NCAA wrestling. On to Sumo Basho. We are at the halfway point of the Haru Basho.
Basho.
Josh, I have no voice. I told you.
That's okay. This is in
Haru
Osaka.
Basho. It's Osaka?
Basho. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. I thought it was someplace different.
Remember, it was at the Osaka Municipal
Yeah,
Gymnasium.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
So
Remember,
we're at the
every other one is not in Tokyo.
Right, so we're at the halfway point of this Basho. That means that we are 1 week in. We have 1 week left until the Basho finishes, and we're going to kind of go through some of the big pieces and
I'll
parts.
just talk a little bit about it. You know, it's right now the big thing that's standing out, at least to me, is Kaisei at Maegashira 6, who's from Brazil. So there we go. We got a little connection to jiu-jitsu there. He's from Brazil. He is currently tied for the lead at 8-0 with Kakuryu, the Yokozuna, who's surprisingly looking good and not falling apart yet.
He's 8-0 as well.
So they're in the lead right now. The previous Basho winner, Tochinoshin, is close behind them at 6-2. Also with a few other people like Goedo, one of the Ozekis, Takayasu, the other one, and Ichinojo, who I despise because I think he's just really boring. He leans on people, and then just get tired of him being so fat and leaning on them. And I'm being 100% serious. Like, if you go onto Kenta Moyama's videos, it's like they call him the leaning tower. He calls him the leaning tower because and the guys who have beaten him, you see it, like they use their slapping technique to push him away and then make him move, and he's like, I don't want to move that much, and they push him out. Everybody else, if he gets a hold of your belt, he just leans on you until you're like, fuck, this guy is big.
It's a legitimate technique, Josh.
I'm not saying it's not. I just hate him. Like,
There's nothing wrong with that.
when you start to get into sumo wrestling as much as I'm into it, you have your favorites and you have your least favorites. There's a whole bunch of people that I do not like. Gagamaru is one of them.
Dude, I like dudes with super aggressive Hanka no Hanka. I love that.
Oh, like those, like, I'm going to hit you, but I'm going to pull aside. That actually almost happened today with Tochinoshin when he went against Mitakumi.
I just love how disrespectful it is.
It's not disrespectful.
I mean, if
It's
you're
kind
the
of
bigger guy,
frowned upon.
it's frowned upon, definitely.
It's kind of frowned upon, but I mean, Hakuho has done it before. Hakuho, by the way, is not in this tournament. He has not shown up at all. He had an injury, so he's not won anything. He's had 8 no-shows, same as Kiseno Sato. I haven't looked at the sumo subreddit. They are normally pretty on top of what's going on with the news going on with
kind of
that.
the politics as well.
So I'll be interested to see what the Sumo Association says about him because
Do you think they pull him? Just gut reaction. I don't think he's going to come back for this Basho. I don't think either of them are going to come back for this Basho. Do you think that they will be forced to retire at the end?
Hakuho, no. No way in hell. They won't force him to do anything.
Because he's Japanese?
No, he's Mongolian.
I mean, yeah, I'm mixed up.
Kiseno Sato is the Japanese one, but he's just sucked ever since Like his first basho, he got injured. He looked great. They're like, cool, you'll heal up and be better. And after that, he's just shit the bed ever since. And I'll wait to see till afterwards. I want to give him a chance, but he's just not performed the way, a sumo, Yokozuna is supposed to perform. And there are other people here that are on this list that, are just also equally shitting the bed. Koto Yuki is at 0-7-1. Onusho pulled out, so he's not in there. Arawashi, who's ranked up at Maegashira 2, is 0-8. You've got a lot of people. You've got a lot of people that are, not performing well. Takarafuji is at 1-7, and then you have other people that you're like, oh, this is interesting. Daiamami is neck and neck. If anybody that is undefeated right now loses, they're tied with Daiamami, who's at 7-1. Aoyama and Tochinoshin are both at 6-2, so they're nipping at the heels, as well as Daishomaru, Takayasu, Goeido. Like, all of these dudes are really close.
I think we get some big shifts in the rankings this time.
It'll be interesting because Kaisei, if he keeps winning, being is that he's at Maegashira 6, is going to start to get thrown against against Kakuryu, against Takayasu, against Goeido, Tochinoshin, Mitaikumi, Ichinojo.
And then we'll see how he stacks up against like the top level guys.
Yeah, I mean, if he performs well again, and I don't think I'm almost 100% sure, and I'll look back on it, but I'm pretty positive that he's never won top level tournament. Same thing with Tochinoshin. But if he performs and does well, and let's say he loses 2 matches, I guarantee you, will probably take the Komusubi spot from Chiyotaru, who is not doing well. And same thing with Tochinoshin. If he still does well, it'll get him that much closer to being ranked as Ozeki if he continues to perform like this.
Yeah. I mean, he's close. He's up there, up in the Maegashiras. Like, he's close enough to he's 1 or 2 good bashos. He's there.
If he continues with this, if he has great... The thing with him is if he needs to perform at Sekiwake, if he gets over 10 wins, like the Ozeki rank is possible, but he has to do that, and he has to look dominant. And he's still injured. He won that last tournament injured. But if he looks dominant, if he runs into these people and he does well, that Ozeki rank is a possibility for him. So right now, that's what we're looking at for the Sumo Basho. Next Sunday, we'll wrap it all up. That'll be day 15, and I'll be able to give you a little bit more of a detailed breakdown and see what's going on with Kisen Osato and Hakuho. And
we'll talk about how people move in the rankings. We won't know at that point in time, but we can make a pretty good assessment.
I'm okay with speculating with those things.
Yeah. Right, so that does it for Sumo. So, on to recapping Fight to Win Pro 66 in H-Town, Houston, Texas. This event paid out $20,072 in commissions and salaries and was headlined by Marcus Tinoco versus Jose Lanas.
Yes, indeed it was. It was a very action-packed card. There were a lot of submissions. There was 18 out of 29, if I'm not mistaken. I wrote it down.
It was like 62% or so submission rate for this card. So again, a pretty high submission rate for the card. Anything above like 55%, I'm pretty happy with. And honestly, it usually makes for a pretty action-packed night. You get people moving in, getting subbed, moving out, and then you get a decision, every other match. It keeps the card flowing well.
Again, 18 out of 29 matches. That's the majority of the matches.
Yeah, it's a good night.
Going to submission.
Snapping them subs up. Fight to Win reward submissions.
62%. We're creeping closer to that 100% that I want.
Dude, I would love to see it like a 30-card match where everybody gets a sub.
Come on, Maryland.
Come on, mismatches. I'm just saying.
There is one coming up in mid-April.
Yep.
That
April
is going
13th.
to be in Maryland. I'm hoping all subs.
Dude, the last one was fire. Like the last event they put on here in Maryland. There was a ton of people
on that. There were 33 matches.
Something like that. And they were good. Like I was there live front row, Josh.
I was there live on the stage.
Yeah.
And I just found out the other day that me getting submitted was viewed on Flow Grappling's Instagram page 50,000 times.
That's kind of exciting.
I just laughed when I saw that. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, Josh texted me. He's like, that video of me getting choked, viewed 50,000 times. And I like didn't know how to respond. I was like, I don't think
Sorry for your loss.
I don't think I've said anything, Josh. I was just like, looked at it. I went,
You were like, okay.
I was like, that is information. I was like, I can't tell if he's like upset about this or happy about this.
No, I thought it was great. 50,000 people saw my doofy ass get darsed. So I'm totally okay with that. 50,000 people saw it. At least it was exciting. Whatever. That guy got submitted. 50,000 people saw it. Cool.
It happens. So
let's start from the bottom of the card, go through the results, then we'll get into a little bit more detail about things going on. So the only teens match that happened, Michael Amico defeats Gabriel Wright by armbar submission of the night.
Josh would also say that was fight of the night, probably.
It could be both because, hey, it was the only teens match.
On to the purple belt results.
Here we go with those Facebook polls.
Yeah.
Carlos VFA defeats Brandon Gonzalez by bow and arrow choke.
Again, this was a card, I think, except for one match, was all gi.
Yeah.
And I forget which match wasn't gi, but every single match. It was in the purple
belts.
Yeah, whatever. It's going to be a gi match when we read it off. All these matches were gi matches.
All of them were gi matches. Anyway, Miguel Dominguez defeated David Acosta by armbar. Randall Davis defeated Chris Reyna by decision. Marina Azevedo defeated Mo Black by choke. Nando Vega defeated Mike Tracy by armbar. Mike Calambas defeated Scott Lanham by footlock submission of the night for the purple belts. Giancarlo Silvio Bodani defeated Andy Van Hoek by armbar. Chris,
did you say Hoke?
I did. I thought it was Hoke. It's Hook, apparently. Whatever. Suck it. Chris Reyna pulled double duty and defeated Jules Johnson by decision fight of the night.
On to the brown belt results.
Nanzo Abedi defeats Ben Patnode by rear naked choke. Edgar Christian Benitez defeated Thomas D'Souza by armbar submission of the night. Dinko Bektik defeated Armando Negrete? Whatever. Split decision, fight of the night. Marcelo Gomez defeated Luke Luba, that J is silent, by triangle. Paulo Henrique da Rocha defeated Luis Diaz by armbar. Joel Heinen defeated Jerome Roseborough by decision. Davin Ordinario defeated Marcel Woodard by decision. De Niro Kelly defeated Eugene Gutierrez by armbar. Angelus Raymond McFarland defeated Walter Harris by decision. Alex Lane defeated Jordan Larson by bow and arrow choke. Chris Robertson defeated Ryan Walsh by decision. And that's Robertson, not Robson.
Black belt results.
Drew Lockwood defeated KJ Kama by decision. Ed Hamos defeated Matt Vernon by Bravo choke.
You're going to go with Hamos, not Ramos?
Well, the commentary team was calling him Ed Ramos and Ed Hamos.
Some of their Herbert situation there?
No, he's Brazilian, so I'm going to go with Hamos.
Oh, yes. Okay, I thought he was not Brazilian.
Brian Marvin, they put his nickname in there. I'm not going to say that. Brian Marvin defeated Seth Daniels by Bravo choke. Julian Vega defeated Ralph Sebexon by triangle armbar. Alexandros Ciccone defeated Hugo. That was the first mistake that I made last week. I called him Hugo. Armino by decision. His name is not Armino, but they called him that when it was written out, and you heard me have the hardest time say his name. Apparently, it's Armino. So
that was fight of the night for the black belts,
and by decision. It was an excellent match. Daniel Galvao defeated Carlos Martinez by knee bar submission of the night. Robert Yamashita defeated Anthony Mitchell by decision. Matt Layton defeated Ignacio Neto by decision. And Marcos Tinoco defeated Jose Lanas by collar choke. to retain the middleweight title. Starting off, we will shout out Mike Callenbass. We do normally watch through the entire card. We don't normally report on the purple or brown belts unless it's a title match.
Yeah, just because there's usually about 30 matches.
29 matches. Do you want to hear a breakdown of 29 matches?
If you do, listen to our first episode, Fight to Win Pro Maryland,
Yes.
where we did that.
We did that.
We just doesn't give us an opportunity to cover the rest of
Anything
the grappling
else?
that happened during the week. And so if there's matches that do show up that are purple belts that we'd like to talk about, we will talk about them.
Or
But
let us know, hey, I'm one of those purple belts on this card. Talk about my card. Cool. We'll get into that a little bit later about a young gentleman that messaged us on Instagram hustling the shit out of himself. So we'll give him a little shout out a little bit later. But Mike Callenbass was going at it. He came in. I will say that he was trying to do. He was doing arm bars from the top, like he was passing well. He was on top. He got the arm bar from the top, but would always just pull the guy on top of him. I don't know if it's that he finishes his arm bars like that most of the time, or if it was just like a technical error. I just didn't understand why he would pull him up onto him more to get the arm bar.
It looked a little weird. He wasn't finishing with it either, which I'm not sure.
No, the guy would
why.
always I'm blanking on his name right now. Scroll down a little bit so I can see it. There we go, Scott Lane. I'm sorry, Scott. Scott would just roll up and just come up on top, and then Mike would start throwing other things up and back up on top, and he did that arm bar twice. Well, they're just going back and forth a little bit, and Mike is starting to run away with the match, and he grabs up his foot in this. It was kind of a weird at first, because I looked away and looked really quick. I thought it was an arm bar, and then I was like, oh wait, no, that was a foot lock. He foot locked him and won. What was really funny was Seth Daniels later in the night, a little bit later after that match, was like, congratulations to Mike Callenbass and his stupid fucking foot lock that he does. I was like, oh wow, that's really funny that he's just kind of. He was, it was tongue in cheek. It wasn't anything where he was being an asshole about it. He was just like, good job on doing that weird fucking footlock that you do and winning. So
coming from the guy that has like twister wins and calf slicer wins and does like judo sweeps.
Dude, so good though.
It is so good. So congrats to Mike getting a weird, as quote, weird footlock win. It was like a variation of a straight ankle.
Yeah. It was just awkward.
Go back and watch it.
Yeah.
To Mike. And then Mike.
When they get uploaded, go back and watch it.
They're not uploaded yet as of Sunday night. Mike, though, I saw him at the brown belts, or the black belts, brown belts, back in his like khakis and collared shirt, taking pictures. At one point,
said that would happen.
Yeah, he did it. At one point, I saw another guy taking pictures next to him, and Mike took the camera out of his hand by the lens and like took it from him to use that camera that he was using to take pictures. It was pretty funny.
He's like, look, I'm in charge here.
And that was evident as he took the camera from the guy.
So one of the things that happened getting into the black belt matches was the stream randomly would cut out, like completely.
Not the whole stream.
Hold on.
Yep.
Hold on.
All right.
I'm going into it. It would cut out completely. It would stop. Then you would refresh, and the screen would be black, and all you would have is audio.
Which was live audio. It wasn't like recorded. It was the live matches happening. So I missed Seth Daniels' walkout. And a bunch of other stuff, but that particularly is something I'm kind of pissed. Like I wanted to see because they were talking about Seth walking out with the chain and like dropping his chain and like doing a bunch of stuff that I didn't get to see because the stream was black.
The Ed Hamos Matt Vernon match cut out, and it came back as they announced how he won. So I was like, oh shit. And then it happened again in the beginning of the Brian, Marvin, and Seth Daniels match, but it came back rather quickly. So the Drew Lockwood versus KJ Kama match was a great way to start it off. Like these guys were really, really just going after each other. And Kama started at Bolo and used it to come up top, but was in closed guard. And Drew is out of Hilly and Gracie's school, like is an affiliate. And Hillian Gracie is known for his close guard. And man, Drew Lockwood's close guard and like his off-angled guard was awesome to watch. And what I was mainly a close guard player when I was heavier. So seeing all of these things where I'm like, oh, I could still implement that being lighter and it would throw people off.
Yeah. It was cool to see. You saw this is one of those matches where you saw guys' lineage kind of come through. Like, oh yeah, look at that. These guys do that sort of thing.
And multiple times in my notes, I remarked that Drew looked really good from close guard. He almost hit a double armbar. Like, who does that?
I have a victory by that in competition.
Okay, you do. Okay.
Yeah.
As a blue belt, you're like, here, I beat this guy. Or was it at white belt?
It was a white belt.
Okay,
Gosh.
yeah, that totally doesn't count. That you just got lucky that you got it, and the other guy freaked out that you had both of his arms.
It was funny though.
Yeah, but
Dude threw it up at black belt, and it was like, damn, he's gonna throw this up at black belt.
yeah, Drew ended up on top at a certain point, was leaning in to try to pass, and Kama State was starting to fight the legs and then would stay on it and like came up with the legs immediately into a triangle. And Drew went triangle, armbar, omoplata, like all in the span of maybe 8 seconds.
Oh, that day one sequence we teach everyone?
Yes.
Yeah, it works at a high level.
Yes.
Drill your transitions, people.
Yeah. It was great. Drew Lockwood was doing all this basic stuff, was doing hip bump sweeps from closed guard.
When we say basic, we're not being disparaging at all. Like basics win matches.
Like, this is jiu-jitsu 101 stuff that you're all taught, for the most part, taught at the beginning, you know.
Which you should be taught if you have an instructor that's worth anything.
Well, no, that's not true, too. I don't think the Mendez brothers go about teaching that, but all those kids are really good at doing other things.
Okay, I'll give you that. If you're going to go super sport. But I'm saying, like, if you're at a regular jiu-jitsu school, like, in learning basic jiu-jitsu, this is stuff that you should learn. So it's really cool to see a black belt implementing this stuff, you know, at a black belt level and then winning it. And you know, he didn't get the finish with it, but he gets the decision, fight to win.
Unanimously.
Yeah, like, rewards activity and rewards submission attempts. He had more of them, obviously. You know, although it was basic, it was outstanding technique. It was good.
Right. So, again, the Ed Hamos match was... this is what I had to start. Hamos pulled guard and was on a leg really quick. He came up briefly. Bolo, he goes for a bolo really quickly, and commentary just randomly stopped and shouted out Dragon Ball Super. They were like, yo, that Goku versus Jiren episode just dropped. And I was like, holy shit, what a bunch of dorks. But I have to remember to go watch that afterwards. And if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Super and you haven't watched it yet, watch that shit. It's fire. And then my stream stopped working, and then I only had audio, and it's really hard because they're not doing exact play-by-play. They don't do exact play-by-play. Now, this commentary team at times got kind of annoying, but because one of the dudes was super fucking high energy, just like, and I was like, yo, lay off the cocaine or something. Like, he was flying. But they were giving very good technical details about these things. But it wouldn't have been good just audio-wise. And I would keep refreshing. And nothing was working. I was just getting audio, and then it came back on.
Yeah, actually, I texted Josh because it seems like a computer side issue, like not a stream issue. And so I texted Josh. I was like, "Hey, are you having?" And he immediately texted me, "Do you have no video?" And I went, "Yes, I have no video too." So we missed that one. Sorry. Same thing with the beginning of the Seth match.
That popped out, but Seth, of course, went for his Rick James.
Yeah, stream came on right as he was going for that foot sweep.
Mine was on a little bit before that, so I saw him like come in and he tried to foot sweep him, and that was totally awesome. I was like, he's gonna get it, and now he's gonna do something crazy, but he didn't. And Brian Marvin pulled half and then went to full, and Seth lifted him up for like a mini slam. And they were like, "Oh, we love these slams," and I was like, "That wasn't really."
I love slams, Josh.
Yeah. But it wasn't like a full, it was a lift up and drop back down. But either way, Seth came up and Brian was in half guard again, but went back to full, and he pulled the lapel over his over his back from like corner to corner. So he had that Bravo grip. Well, man, this motherfucker must have a tight ass grip because he kept readjusting. And, he shot up a triangle. I'm like, oh, triangle by Marvin. And it's like possible Bravo. Bravo. And then all of a sudden I see tap and I was like, yo, did he really just finish it with that Bravo? Because, again, I can't tell you how tight it is by looking at it. So I have
Especially
to wait.
with the gi, you just can't tell.
There are points where you see that Bravo and you're like, that guy's about to die.
But there's certain Bravos. I can't.
Bravos.
Bravo.
I said Bravo and I fucked you up.
I call it Barbo for some reason. Like the barb on the thing.
Bravo.
Bravo choke. Jesus. There's certain ones that you can't tell like how deep they are, especially when the collar's there, the gi's there. Like this was one that I really couldn't tell how. I was surprised Seth tapped. Again, it's obviously tight. I just from my angle it didn't look as tight as it was. It was obviously very tight.
Well, Seth even got on the mic afterwards and was like, "Congrats to him for having a tight ass fucking grip and choking the shit out of me." Like,
yeah, it was obviously tight, but it was again. This is one choke that I need to do more like looking at to figure out exactly what I need to look for when watching matches to know when it is tight. It happened. One of my teammates got darsed this last weekend, and I was a little late to identify exactly how deep it was, and so I need to get better at that.
Yeah. So going on to the Ralph Sebexton and Julian Vega match, Ralph pretty quickly went to half guard, and Julian from there just decided to be mean and smash in. And he stepped on the knee to cut. Like, he just came in and push, and nearly passed a couple of times.
Yeah, he almost passes into a leg drag at one point.
Yeah. And then finally he passes and climbs up over top of the head. And he does that cool arm trap with the lapel to hold that in tight and does that step over triangle with it.
What do you call that? I call it a baby arm. What do you call it, Josh?
I've heard it called that before.
Yeah, I learned it as a baby arm.
I just call it an arm trap because
or a little hand is the other one. Was the other one I've heard.
Okay, both of those are really awkward and somehow sound like dick references. But I just call it an arm trap because if I see that, I'm like, arm trap, triangles coming up off of it. And he set it up and it was on, and they're going back and forth between the arm lock and the triangle, trying to squeeze it down. Julian Vega, of course. And then finally he just goes for broke. And this is in the dying seconds of the match and gets the arm for the tap. At this point, again, this was brought up during the NCAAs. In my notes, quickly separated, was one of the Baldwin brothers on the NCAA broadcast, Billy Baldwin. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then,
Josh sent me over his notes, and I'm reading through, seeing if I have any additional pieces to add. And I saw that, and I went, I'm very confused about this note. Huh.
It's just in there. There were a lot of things that I sent over there because, we'll make weird jokes back and forth to each other. And I have to put stuff in parentheses, like, not meaning this, you piece of shit.
Josh has to read through my notes too, so like.
That's because it's like a 5-year-old wrote them. So with that, especially like when I was watching the Kyle Snyder and the Coon match, and I wrote Coon goes on it, and I was like, not the Coon, from South Park. And it's like, the Coon. So yeah, I have to clarify several times if I'm making references to other things that it's one thing and not the other. So if I write, Coon in there, he's gonna go to South Park more than likely and be like, oh, the Coon. It's like, Cathile. I'm not gonna get into these South Park episodes of the Coon because I think they did it to be somewhat like joking on the racist aspect as well because
it's Cartman.
Yeah, it's Cartman.
Because you think that, Josh?
More than likely. Oh God, I ummed it. I'm reading through my notes and trying to decide which match I really want to
because
cover
the videos
more.
aren't up, so we can't replay them to determine which are the best ones to talk about.
Right, and my NCAA notes are also interspersed. I'm like, what? Huh? What? I'm going to just go to the final match. The Tinoco versus Jose Lanas match. And Tinoco coming off that second place finish at Pans.
He looked good at Pans.
Didn't miss a beat. He was just on it.
This is for the belt too.
Yes. And Jose pulled guard and Tinoco passed super fast. Just was like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And just went by.
Dude got second at Pans. Like, he's a week off of, like, getting second at one of the 4 major gi tournaments in the world. Like,
Yeah,
you're
totally.
feeling pretty good. You're in shape. You're on point at this point.
Totally. So, and that was the match. Like, he would occasionally get shoved back into half guard and then would pass again. He just passed, knee cut, pass, step through, pass, going. And he, at one point, it's like, I wrote on there, Tinoco is just dancing by him. Like, he would just...
Because he was just like, you saw Tinoco just in the fucking zone the entire time.
Yeah, and at one point, and they talked about it in commentary, that they were saying Jose's a leg guy. And he went on a leg, and Tinoco just went on a toe hold to just counteract it and turned him over to Turtle. Thought he possibly was going to clock choke him, dumped him over, goes to north-south, tries to finish there, transitions to mount effortlessly from side control once he left north-south.
That was the whole thing, though. Like, everything just was smooth and was, like, quick.
And he just brung the collar across, set up the collar choke from mount, and just called it a day and retained his title. It's a great video. It's a great match to watch for passing and just like pressure passing and movement-based passing, as well as just being focused on what you want to do to finish, but also having the flexibility to think of other things.
Yeah, the big thing I got with this is you got to see what a dude coming off a major, like a high-level guy almost winning a major event versus a good black belt.
Yeah.
Like, and it showed the level of difference. Like, oh, this is a good black belt, and you have Tinoco coming off like that next level, like in that conversation for an elite level guy.
Absolutely. So that'll wrap up the Fight to Win 66 in Houston. And now I think it's about time to preview next week.
I think it is, Josh.
And now we're going to look at Fight to Win Pro 67 in New Orleans, Louisiana.
New Orleans.
God, we're white. This is main evented by a 235-pound black belt no-gi match, Tim Creeder versus Aaron Davis. Yes, that's the same Tim Creeder from the UFC who fought at 185.
That was at 235?
Yep. Hey,
That retirement.
likes to eat. Co-main event, Trey Alador versus Josh Mancuso. Yep, Mancuso. A 235-pound black belt gi match. Stephen Hall versus Derek Oh, God.
It's French, Josh. It's French.
I don't know. We're idiots.
But you?
I don't know. We'll hear it, and then we'll go, hey, look how stupid we are. Breaux. 205, black belt gi match. Seth Daniels back at it again the following week versus Buddy Kiff.
What was he 205 again this last week?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't think he's really trying to like hustle and get down in weight.
He's usually about 200, 205,
Anywhere from like
215.
190 to 220.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. We see him like
He's all over the
jump.
place. Yeah. 200-pound black belt gi match. Anthony Mitchell versus Nathan Lott. 155 black belt gi match. Gilson Nunez versus Cy Landry. 145-pound no-gi, I'm assuming black belt match. Chris Myers versus Sheldon Moran. Moving on to the brown belts. 205, Brian Wells versus Brandon Allen. 190-pound brown belt gi match. Jay McIntosh versus DJ Abshire. 185 brown belt gi match. Chris Crosby versus Jacob Jeffers. 170-pound brown belt no gi match. Chance Broad versus Scott Phillips. 170-pound brown belt gi match. I'm liking that they're doing way more gi than no gi, but that's just
Josh,
me.
it's gi season.
Suck it. Andrea DiStefano versus Eli Rubin. 165 brown belt gi match. Elliot Hill versus Santiago Farina. 165-pound no-gi assuming brown belt match. Max Mustaki versus Jacob Small, 155-pound brown belt no-gi. Marcus Dempsey versus Pagan Lafont. And then rounding all that out is a super heavyweight purple belt gi title match.
I think it's just a gi. I don't think it's I think it's just a gi match.
Oh, I thought it was a title match. Normally we'll throw in all the title matches.
Josh, it's a super heavyweight match. Like, it's always a title match.
It's going to be big. Brett Malstad versus Clay Cantrell.
I think super heavyweight is also 265 for them, too, so.
It might be more than that. I'm hoping for two dudes that are 400 pounds a pop.
Dude, I love super heavyweight matches.
They can be very interesting. So that wraps up that coverage.
There's a bunch of purple belt matches as well, and there's some
Obviously.
team matches and some other stuff.
Again, hey, NOLA, go for 100% submission rate. Please. I'm going to just ask every single place every week to get 100% submissions.
I'm down. I
want it
like
to
watching
happen.
guys get subbed.
That's all.
Like flying triangles at heavyweight. Like, do it.
Yep.
So that'll do it for this week's episode of the Grappling Rewind podcast.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week's sumo, more fight to win, probably other things that we left out that we'll catch up on and see. We will, hopefully, if Onnit gets back on there, we will cover that. And anything else that we find during the week that we'll inevitably end up watching. So, as always, I'm Josh.
I'm Maine.
This is Grappling Rewind Podcast. As always, you can email us at thegrapplingrewind@gmail.com. You can check us out on Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, and pretty much anywhere you can find
Facebook.
podcasts. We're on Facebook, Grappling Rewind.
Instagram.
Grappling Rewind.
Twitter.
Grappling Rewind.
Reach out to us on social media. If you got something you want us to cover, you want to clarify, we are here.
You want to tell us we're idiots. Hey, let us know.
You want us to pronounce your name correctly?
Let us know. Subscribe on the YouTube page. Leave us a review.
Helps us out a lot.
It helps us out. And, it eventually will help you out. We like to give back. We're doing this as something that isn't done. So help us help you. Again, as always, I'm Josh.
I'm Maine.
And this is the Grappling Rewind Podcast.
We'll see you on the mats.